Welcome to this week's public sales training. We're going to be talking about dealing with rejection. Rejection comes in a lot of forms. Sometimes it comes in like a dating form, or sometimes it comes like you're applying for a job form. Like rejection is something we deal with on a daily basis or a weekly basis pretty often. Obviously in sales, rejection kind of goes hand in hand with the job. So I want to talk about one, the importance of rejection and how to view it, but two, how to use it to your advantage. Because rejection has a negative connotation, but you can take that like lemon, like the bitterness of rejection, and turn it into lemonade, something really good. It creates amazing yields and benefits in your life that you wouldn't have otherwise thought would come from something so nasty as rejection. The best analogy that works for me for rejection is batting averages. So I'm not a baseball expert, you don't need to be a baseball expert, but most people recognize and know even the greatest batters in history had more strikeouts than they had actual hits. From a psychological level, that's really fascinating. In most of our lives, we want our success rate to be high, right? And to choose a profession, baseball, where you actually fail more than you succeed, it's gotta be really tough. But the batters that really wanna like work hard at that, the great sluggers in history, they push through that rejection and they're successful and they're paid really, really well. Oftentimes in our life, there's things like that. And sales is one of those things. Like in my industry, the industry average from proposal generated to install is 9%. More people strike out more than they get hits. But the people that, have maybe a 15, let's say that's the industry average, let's say a 15 to 20% closing ratio, which means out of 10 homes they pitch for solar, only 2 end up going. That's an amazing ratio and people do really well in life with that ratio. But they have to learn how to struggle or how to get over the 80% rejection rate. That's a really hard rate to deal with. So with that in mind, understanding that success isn't defined by the actual average or the ratio. Success is defined like how you framework it. So to help salespeople deal with rejection, this is the training we give them that I received too that's like been so helpful for me. So let's say you have 10 people you need to talk to. You've worked in sales for a bit and your average closing ratio is 20%, which is still pretty good. That means that if you talk to 10 people, 8 of them are gonna say no and 20 are gonna say yes. When you're in the middle of the grind and you get like 7 rejections in a row, you don't see the 20% success ratio, you just see, man, I really suck at my job and 7 people in a row said no to me. Why am I doing this? But what you start to do is you start to count the no's as money made. Here's the math on how you can help turn like rejections into an actual good thing. Let's say for those 2 you close, you make $1,000 each for each of those sales. And so for 10 deals equals $2,000, right? And so let's take that $2,000 and divide it by 10 equals $200 per deal. Another way to look at it isn't, I'm gonna make $1,000 a deal, I'm going to make $200 per deal. So every time someone says no to you, instead of thinking that's $0 or waste of time, you turn that into $200. When I started seeing that made a huge difference in my life because like every time I got a sale rejected, either one brought me closer to a sale because that was just part of the ratio that was gonna fall in the rejection ratio, or two, if I reframed the whole thing and instead of thinking, I'm gonna make $1,000 or not on this deal, I'm going to make $200 on every deal. It turns a negative into a positive. So that's obviously a sales application where you figure out where your numbers are, you figure out your ratios, and then work that backwards so that you can put a dollar value or a number value onto the rejections, which really helps. But I also think that really applies in life as well. Some of the highest paying jobs or highest paying opportunities are the ones where you get the most rejection, because that's the ones that people want to avoid the most. Like no one likes to deal with rejection every day or letdowns. No one likes to deal with low ratios. To wrap this up, my one encouragement is to not let failure or rejection stop you from doing something because it's hard. You don't want to fall into the trap of something that's never going to work out, but also just don't shy away from the hard work. Understand your ratios, learn how to turn those negatives into positives. That momentum will carry you through. And then as you focus on the wins, even if they're like little wins, you'll notice in your life, you'll advance way quicker than if you just settled in your comfort zone. That's it for this week. Like and subscribe. Appreciate your comments. Keep them coming, and we'll see you next week.